So let's talk about SAP Build Apps and Process Automation. So in our company, or not only my company, every company, when you see like there are different personas are available in any region, every company. Like there'd be some persons would be a pro developer, some persons would be like citizen developer, and some person would be like pro developer in the sense who are very much well known of different language of coding, so they are basically are marked into this category of pro developer category. In this pro developer category, these persons are very well known coding. So I can say like they are actually you can say like they're well known coding person, and the citizen developer are something who are actually kind of functional consultant who knows the process very well, but they are not aware of different coding languages. So they are just marked as a citizen developer. They know the, like we can say, functional consultant or business analyst. This can be categorized under the citizen developer who knows the process very well, who knows the business. They have closely deal with the business, but they don't know like the different coding languages, how to write fiori application, how to write JavaScript, how to write CSS. Those things they doesn't aware of, but they know the business. They have deal with the business very like closely. Now, once you talk about the like pro developer, these guys might be a UI developer, or like you can say UI developer, or it might be a Fiori developer, or it might be sometimes an ABAP developer, because they're also like they're also writing code, and they're basically a core developers. So we can say like there are two type of personas are there in every company. Now, if you're talking about the low code and no code, where if I just categorize this entire process of our development in terms of these two different persona, like I'm talking about a professional developer as well as a citizen developer. Now, if I completely like try to understand the entire process of your development, a low code, no code platform can be suggested or suitable for a person who is basically a citizen developer. Why? Because let's say assume it, I'm a person who is a core developer coming under this professional developer persona. In this, I might be already aware of the different tools in the market available, like where I know might be the different choice of tools like the native application development IDE, it might be web IDE, it might be business application studio, it might be my Eclipse. I might be aware of the entire process of development, the different life cycle process of development concepts, everything I might be aware of it. I know like how to develop, how to deploy, all this process I might be aware of it. I might be aware of it, testing process of it, versioning process of it. So it would be quite easy for me to adapt to a different technology and different like coding technologies specifically I'm saying. So this is very, because this is my bread and butter you can say. But for a citizen developer who is not at all aware of any languages, who is not at all aware of like what is the versioning process, he does not aware of like what is the process to be followed to test your application. So for those, like it is quite challenging, isn't it? Like to develop something from scratch where I need to write some code. So there are so many processes he may need to know. So definitely like we can't expect the same thing from a citizen developer what we can expect from a professional developer in terms of coding. Now, if we are providing something low code no code platform, that can going to like that can really like change the entire process. Like if a citizen developer having the confidence, boss, I need not to code anywhere, it's a low code platform, I can just simply drag and drop it. I can just like I know the process, based on the process I will just design my screen. I need not to know what is happening in the background. I can see in front of me, I'm dragging and dropping whichever I like it. So it is more about configurations. So where this low code no code platform concept is coming. So in this low code no code concept, where I would be writing code, like in the low code is like we'll be writing some sort of small logics and like logics or kind of conditions. So where this low code concept is coming, no code means you're simply like not at all writing any code. That's the concept of no code. But if you're combining together and providing a platform to the citizen developer, then definitely they're also going to be like in a position to develop applications. So that is where the main motto of low code no code platform, to bring out the citizen developers also to the ground and build the application. That is the main mantra of this low code no code platform. That is, you're going to see about this course, our SAP Build Process Automation. So this platform is basically built where to be considered we can able to build apps using a platform. That platform previously known as AppGyver. We can also go and build process automation, and then you're going to deploy the process into a website, or you can say in a very simple term, you already know about SAP Fiori might be. So you can say here SAP Work Zone. This is also site. How it looks like, that we'll see it later. So this three process we're going to talk about in this entire course. Build application using AppGyver, then create a business process automation, then you'll be deploying to a site workzone. That should be basically the entire process of this course. Now, as I said, the build apps, this build apps is going to help us to develop applications. So this is a site where you can go and develop your application. The site would be like exciting site where you can compose the different applications. Your application can be web-based applications or a mobile-based application for Android and iOS. Okay, so this is basically your first step of development, where the SAP build apps. Then you'll be having the process automation. In the process automation, where actually we are going to deal with different processes. Like you can just mention all the different processes into like kind of a workflow base, where the like business rules also going to come into picture to write some sort of logics and all. You can define some forms and all other things that I'm going to show you. And then the last one should be the work zone. The work zone, it's all about like deploying the site into this. So these three, SAP Build Work Zone, SAP Build Process Automation, and SAP Build Apps, are the three things is combined all together to get your SAP Build Apps and Process Automation, right? So this should be the actual, or this should be basically a part-wise our course. So we'll spend a few days on the build apps. Like we have already like done an AppGyver course previously. If somebody had already have joined that AppGyver course, it would be a bit easier for you to understand the process. We are going to see the latest version of AppGyver, where a few more changes has been made recently. You can also get to know the updated AppGyver. Now, like we have also like rolled out one course previously called IRPA, Intelligent Robotic Process Automation. If somebody has already attended that course, they will also get some sort of idea previously on this this particular area where the IRP would be merged under this process automation process. So, and we have already done a previously one more course on SAP Fiori, the basics of Fiori builds or something. So in that, if somebody is already aware of it, they can get to know about this a bit of work zone on the SAP side. So, and if somebody is completely new to this, a new person or someone is joining to this course, for them, we are going to talk about all these three again to clear all of your doubts, and we'll go in depth for everything. We'll not consider that the person has already joined to our course. So we'll cover in this course in the last 10 days, like next 10 days. That's the plan. Now, having a basic question, like people will ask, okay, you are talking about SAP Build Apps, process automation. So whenever this SAP Build Apps has been announced in TechEd 2022, I don't know how many of you have thought of, like, there was a tool called Build.me previously has been introduced by SAP. I don't know, like, have you guys explored or not? something called build.me. It was previously one prototype building tool they have created. I initially thought like might be they are coming back with a boom with that tool only, because that tool was quite exciting at the time they have presented. But I thought like something is really coming there. But I was not aware of it. They are just renamed AppGyver to SAP Build Apps. So anyway, but the good thing is they have bring out all these three under one single bucket, and they are selling as a product called SAP Build Apps and Process Automation. Right? So let's go and move further. Why it is required? Because once you're talking about this SAP like low-code no-code platform, the main important factor of any low-code no-code platform to build visually, like whatever you are building it, we can able to see in front of us, right? Whenever we are doing a drag and drop into this, like if you're doing a drag and drop, so that also we can able to see in front of us, like how the changes are happening. If you're modifying some value, like let's say I'm saying like you are giving a name changes, or you are just putting some color changes, that is exactly happening in front of your eyes. So you can feel that. That is basically the new era of development. Like you can just put, there is a kind of a palette it is given to you. Do you like this? Add this feature. Do you like this? Add this. And you can see instantly how it looks. You need not to go and compile the entire code, run it. It will take some time to build it. Then it will display. That is not at all required. Whatever you are going to change it instant, within seconds it will be going to save automatically, and you can just give a look, like get a look how it looks like, and you can continue to add more. That is called the build visually. Now the second thing is integrate seamlessly. Once it's come to integrate seamlessly, that means like whenever you are going to build some solution, that solution has to be integrated. It should be integrated with either SAP system. Sometimes it is a non-SAP system. So all this possibility should be there. Non-SAP system in the sense I'm talking about REST API. So it can be integrated in different REST API, or in the SAP system it might be OData service, right? So it might be anything. So it can be integrated seamlessly. Now non-SAP system REST API when I have given, that covers itself like different other non-SAP system. If I talk about REST API means again it can be a point, it can be something or success factor, it can be something or Salesforce, it can be anything on the like Ariba, right? So anything can be possible, like on the non-SAP system. It can be anything. So that can be possibly integrated into this system. And the scale without compromise, that is the like one of the major like important factor for any development, right? Like whenever you are developing, the main important thing is to scale it. The scale in the sense like is your application, like whenever whatever developing the application, that application can be considered as a product or not. Like if you are building some solutions, if the solution only can be called as a product when it is a scalable application, it can be fit upon any scenarios whatever you're going to give it. So that possibility is there or not. This platform is definitely giving all these three like feature, the main feature of development, like build visually, integrated seamlessly, and scale without compromise. So that is where this low code no code platform, and like this particular platform, we're going to help you to build an application which is an enterprise application, and which should be, you can also consider as an intelligent enterprise application. Now, as I said, SAP Build Apps. The SAP Build Apps, like if you wanted to develop any application in SAP Build App, the first few things like what you should remember. First thing is like these are the features like drag and drop, user interface, statement logic without this. So this platform, like as I said, SAP AppGyver. SAP AppGyver, I don't know how many of you have opened it, but if you have opened it, you might have already aware of these factors are already there. But if somebody is not open, I'll tell you one thing. So what SAP is trying to do? So SAP initially has introduced something called, let's say, I'll start with the very initial one. Let's say they have started with Web ID. Then inside the Web ID, they have given something called storyboard. They have introduced then SAP Build. I'm talking about build.me. Then they have introduced SAP Business Application Studio. They have also introduced the mobile domain called as mobile card and AMDP. At the same time, they have also like they have also take a kind of collabed with Mendix for rapid application development and all. Now let's understand the current scenario or current position of SAP. So as you know, this Web ID is basically a part of SAP Neo, right? So SAP Neo anyway, SAP is suggesting like to have upgraded or migrated their applications into Neo to Cloud Foundry for some specific reason. But we can't say SAP Web ID is deprecated. It is not deprecated. It is there in SAP Neo. So people are still using SAP Web ID for definitely sure. Storyboard, somebody who are using Web ID, they are using Storyboard. Now all this platform are basically, they have said like we are having some sort of option to do a low code, no code, because in Web ID also, if you are edit your view in an editor mode where you can go and drag and drop some sort of your code and it will automatically generate some code. Storyboard also does the same thing. SAP Build.me also does the same thing. SAP Business Application Studio also does the same thing. Now they have talked about Mendix. Mendix is a different company, as you know, like it's a different company by Siemens. Like Siemens is managing this product, and this particular platform was also having a low code no code capability. But as per the latest information, this Mendix has been removed out from SAP BTP and it will not be supported in the further versions of SAP BTP. So I can say now the Mendix is not there in SAP. It is gone. Now what is the next one that we are talked about? So it is now basically they have given AppGyver, which has came next, and all the focus suddenly came to this AppGyver. Now in this particular take aid, they have just given a name, a new name to this as SAP Build Apps. That is where currently we are in on the digital experience of SAP. Now in SAP Build Apps is capable to drag and drop interface, because definitely this is something, not something new. This already we are aware of it. All the other platforms are also giving the same thing. Create any logic without code. This is something new. Whatever SAP has developed so far, in that we don't have this option, like create any logic without code. That option was already there in some of the places, but not here, right? So create any logic without code. This is something new to us, where you can go and like build any sort of like conditions, any sort of looping, any other activities which is coming onto the logic part. We can play around with the data. That is the main important thing. And the third one, easily integrated data. Now when we talk about the data coming from different data sources. It might be the data sources from S4 HANA, it might be your ECC system, or it might be non-SAP. So any of this system, it can go and consume the data and integrate it properly. Okay, this is where we're going to build any application in SAP Build Apps. Now, in a very like broad area of the feature side, if you see SAP Build Apps, it is basically providing, number one, it is basically having a standalone apps and extension possibility. It is having basically for the citizen developer to pro developer. So developer like kind of an ID, you can say, where you can develop multiple applications. Multi-channel supported for mobile, web, and like mobile in the sense like it can be different version. It is for iOS and Android. Okay, and web definitely you can do it. You can just add different UI component using the Fiori and native web component. Fiori native web component in the sense like in Fiori you'd be able to getting something like let's say SAP UI5 flavored. You will be able to get card, kind of list item, you know, those things are already there, part of this UI component. Native component, you will be able to get some QR coding, like QR code, QR, you can say like scanning. You'd be able to get it something called camera feature. You'll be able to get some sort of you can say Google map integration. So there are so many other integrations are also there, which will be part of your different like Fiori as well as the native like components, which has been merged into this particular platform. Okay, you can also do recently they have added data modeling also in the part of SAP Build apps. Okay, you can create different formulas for your REST and OData connectivity. You can also have a digital process, visual process management in the business logic. This also coming to a picture of this SAP Build apps. And definitely like you can have recently the governance of BTP also would be a part of that. Like if you would like to authenticate against BTP destinations and all, that also you can be able to do it. Now these terms who are getting some kind of like not understanding about BTP much, destination much, no worries, we'll go from scratch, so you'll be able to understand everything there. Okay, so the main important thing is here is build process automation is coming here. Once you have this, you also get the support of Business Application Studio. Why? Because the application code, it will be ultimately generating it. That code also can be pushed and like inside this Business Application Studio. And also the application would be created, that application would be also consumed, or you can also say like the application can be pushed under this SAP Build work zone site. Right, so these are the features you'll be getting it, and SAP BTP authentication, which is going to play a major role. Like what does this mean? Try to understand this factor. Now SAP BTP destination or authentication, when I talk about that, so I'll just going to show you one interesting thing that might help you to understand this particular process properly. So as of now, at least you understood one thing, like SAP Build Apps is nothing but one platform provided by SAP. That platform is going to give us the leverage to write, like without writing any code, drag and drop, it can automatically generate some application. That's what you understood. Now I'll tell you, whenever you build an application, what are the major factors that you always need to consider? So what will I do is, I will just make this a bit highlighted one. Yeah, see this. Whenever you build any application, let's say I'm going to build one mobile application. So this is my app, let's say. In this app, I'm going to just display some PO. This is my PO details app. So once I say it's a PO details app, definitely once the application opens, I need to call some data sources. Data sources can be my OData service. This data source also can be my REST API. So data sources is nothing but from where my data is going to come. So once the application is loading, I need to call the data sources. Now, once I call any of these data sources, I'll be getting the data. That data has definitely to be like binded, data binding is coming to the view. Then only it will display the list of POs. That is how a front-end technology works, right? Now, once I say that I am calling a OData service, or a REST API, ultimately any of these APIs or the OData service, whatever I'm using it, that API should be having some sort of authentication, isn't it? Now, without this authentication, how we can get a data? Like OData service, if you run it on your browser, it will ask for user ID password, isn't it? Now, there are different type of authentications are available. As an example, I can say the first would be basic authentication, something called OAuth. Then also you can say multi-factor authentication, right? Then also you can say principal propagation. So this is the different authentication technique, like process, different authentication mechanism. Now basic authentication, it will ask for user ID password. OAuth, it runs upon client ID, client secret ID. Multi-factor authentication runs on OTP mechanism. Principal propagation runs in SSO. This is for OTP. This is run based on client ID and secret ID. This is based on user ID and password, right? Now, this is the different type of authentications are available. Now, my question was like, I need to have an authentication, definitely. Now, initially, when SAP AppGyver was launched, it was having only this one and this one as a default authentication mechanism to log in your application using basic authentication or a multi-factor authentication by Google Firebase. But recently, they have introduced one more, which is completely a game changer called SAP BTP destination. What does it mean? Now they are saying that, boss, you can use SAP BTP destination for application development. Now that means that in BTP you basically manage different destinations. The destinations are with different authentication mechanism. It might be basic, it might be OAuth, it might be MFA, it might be principal propagation. So you can consume anything whatever you want to by using this BTP destination. You configure in your destination. If the destination currently works properly, then that is also can be consumed in your AppGyver or so-called SAP Build apps. Getting my point? So that is what I was talking about. Like that is what it is mentioned here. Like the slide that I was talking about. Yeah. So here this is a BTP destination feature that is going to play a major role in our development. So whatever the application you will be developing, definitely it is having drag and drop, it is having multi-channel supported, it is having visually development process, all the features, including that one is a major factor was SAP BTP authentication. Just remember this point. We'll do a detailed study onto this whenever doing some application development. Okay. So again, like who would be getting benefit from this SAP Build apps? Definitely, as I said, different persona like a professional developer, a citizen developer or a business expert, an IT admin, end user. Now, who all are joining this course? Out of that, I'm assuming somebody would be an ABAP developer, somebody a functional consultant, somebody a UI5 guy or Fiori person who is going to learn this new technology, somebody from a freshers, so or anyone from any other domain, like it might be a security person or any of the personas who are joining this course would be benefited you by this course, because this course does not need any sort of prior like requirement knowledge. You can do it from your scratch now only. You can build your applications without having any knowledge of the background of coding side. So if any of the personas are there in this course have joined, would be benefited. Like it cannot be, I cannot say like you need not to, you must be having some big knowledge on this particular platform or this particular language. It is not at all required. We learn everything here itself. So now the key capabilities, if we try to explain, this is how basically SAP Build Apps is going to look like. So in this Build Apps, whenever you are going to like log in everything properly, you will be jumped to this particular screen. This screen is called as initially start with a lobby. In this lobby, you can able to see the home screen where you can create a multiple process, or you can create a new application, or you can create a work zone site. The store is something where it is basically going to store. It's kind of a like repository. You can store different pre-built applications, and you can be able to see that as well. Monitor is more about monitoring your application, how many processes are running, what is the status of the process, how many jobs are scheduled, what is the process of job. It's kind of a monitoring dashboard. And the settings is all about changing the parameters of your, like, in this particular landscape, right? So in this section, as I said, it will just allow you to create different build processes, right? And this particular area where you can create a different projects and different worksite or different build apps, right? So this is this called is a lobby of your SAP Build Apps and Process Automation. I'll show you this lobby page once you've configured our system properly. Now this is a quite look on the SAP Build Apps, which is so called as AppGyver. This is how it looks. In the left hand side, you'll be able to get all the UI parameters, like UI controls. This is the area where you'll be developing the application. This is your developing pan, you can say. And this area is more about your all the settings and changing the parameters and all. Okay. So this is the three area. The left hand side is basically your UI controls, development pan, and this is more about your properties and settings. And the down part, this part, whatever it is highlighted here, this part is more about your, you can say, writing logic. Okay. And this area is like, you can just click on any of the control and you can able to write any logic in this section. Okay. And this is how a development like a page look like. After dragging and drop all the components, they have put some CSS, they have modified some of the button colors and everything. Ultimately, this is how it looks like. It can definitely give you a rich user experience. It is not like drag and drop, like means that it would be very poor in the user experience side. It is definitely going to have a very great user experience appeal onto the application. So like this slide is not make more sense now. That will be able to get it later. So I'll just this also I have already explained the BTP destination concept. Okay, let's understand some of the use cases. Like first of all, if you are going to build any application where you can say like these applications are easily consumable, like it is not required a very complex coding, it does not require a very complex like business process, you're not dealing with like 200 fields and all, then SAP AppGyver and SAP Build Apps could be a really good tool to choose. Now one question people will ask, like first you are talking about low code, no code. I'm a Fiori developer. Now Fiori is there in the market. Now, are you meaning like Fiori won't be there and AppGyver is going to take over everything? This question is coming, and this question has been asked by so many persons. If you see wherever this AppGyver has launched, how about Fiori now? Is going to die or what? So the first of all, the thing is like Fiori is having its own advantages. Advantages in the sense, if you compare AppGyver with Fiori or SAP Build Apps with Fiori, like Fiori is having so many UI components. If I'm not wrong, it is more than 350 UI components are there. and those UI components are very well designed UI components. But in SAP AppGyver or Build Apps, whatever you say, like in that, we don't have much UI controls. So if a business process has already developed some of the UI components using Fiori, it won't be very easy to replicate here. Getting my point? So number one. Number two, SAP AppGyver or Build Apps, definitely they're going to add more UI component into their bucket. That is definitely sure. But the thing is, if you are dealing with some such a complex application where you are like writing different logics for the entire screen and it is displaying like huge amount of data, at that time it might not, this AppGyver will fit for a very complex scenario. But AppGyver also having its own advantages. It supports offline. Okay, it also supports a different inbuilt plugin like camera and all, but where Fiori doesn't have the camera feature. It is having basically NDC barcode feature, but the camera plugin, Bluetooth plugin SAP AppGyver is going to bring it out. Map integration is Google Map, not SAP's own map. So those third-party integrations are also quite possible and easy as a component base they have provided in SAP Build Apps. So it is having their own advantages and disadvantages. Recently, this platform has been released, but the only challenge is SAP Fiori is basically provided as on-premise. It is basically provided as on-premise. But SAP AppGyver is completely into BTP. Like this is basically one challenge people is going to take it over. If somebody is not going to invest money on BTP, if they thought like the huge amount of cost is coming using this SAP Build Apps and process automation, they might not choose SAP Build Apps at that point in time. But there are so many customers, there are so many like companies who are investing on BTP and they wanted to build something out of it, and they're definitely going to take over this SAP Build Apps. And if the business processes are limited, as it is having a leverage of adding different authentication mechanism in AppGyver, then AppGyver can be chosen also. So it is again like both the platforms, Fiori as well as SAP Build Apps, would be having their own capabilities, own advantages and disadvantages. It is completely a choice of the customer or the business which platform to use based on their scenarios. Okay. Now coming back, like if you talk about any finance use cases into this, like if you're building any finance applications, you can also go and pick up SAP Build Apps for your development environment. You can create a proper business process into this process automation business process designer. This is business process. This is called business process pan, where you can go and create it is basically looks like a workflow. Like you are just giving next to next processes. You're defining the process here. This process can be anything. Like let's say I can say my process starts, it should open a form. In form, I'll be giving this details. Then the form data has to pass through this OData service, run this application. Then it has to be do this automation. Then do this automation again. Then get the result back. So all these processes you are going to define it here. Based on your process defined, the application will run or the automation will run. Okay, so you can choose any of the finance scenarios. I'll just explain the finance scenario at the last or the time of your hands-on. So what is the key takeaways and what next? So you can say like SAP BTP integration, which is one of the like latest addition of this SAP Build Apps, which is available now. It will be make our system more secure. So we can able to use the BTP destination definitely now. And now the BTP authentications, whatever the authentication I just now spoke about, right? It's also giving a new feature, top of the SAP old AppGyver, data modeling. You can also do a data modeling here, right? Rigid business logic inside this. So these are the new things on SAP Build Apps in the enterprise feature. Okay. Now this is called SAP Build Process Automation. Like as I was talking about, if somebody you are going to think of an end-to-end business process. So end-to-end business process, whenever you want to build it, it definitely required a workflow. It required a forms in the sense what? Sometimes you're asking, hey, approve or reject, but in the reject, you'll be asking some reason, right? Reason of rejection. So that is coming under form. Some UI has to be there, right, to reject it. That is basically the forms. Should be having a task automation using IRPA. You should be having basically a unified launchpad and task center where all the tasks are properly defined. You should be having the business rules, some pre-built content, document understanding, like the OCR and all those things are coming, and process visibility and flexibility. So this entire thing is basically called as SAP Build Process Automation. Okay, so and creating forms and all that we're going to see in the process automation. Business rules we're going to see in the process automation. Workflow we're going to see in the process automation. The pre-built content and the task automation we're going to see in the IRPA. All these things are coming in under process automation. This one. Now process visibility and this one is coming under SAP Build Apps. So all things are combined actually, and they have built it. All things are combined here, and they have built this SAP Build Process Automation. So this is the required like practice of any automation. It requires the workflows, requires the business tools, forms, pre-built content, automation process, and the process visibility and flexibility. Right? So you can see here it is given the new citizen automation like experience it is providing using the process builder and form builder. Workflow management process capabilities are giving, embedded with RPA capabilities, integrated AI capabilities for document information extraction, reusable artifacts, unified launchpad and task center for the citizen developer. So all these things are a part of your build process. So there are different line of business can be covered, which like the thing is like where this entire thing, like this is basically your entire process of your process automation, which as I said, the automations are there, workflow should be there, you should be having a monitoring dashboard, forms and different skills can be also built upon your automation. So this is basically all about your pre-built content package, which is a part of this SAP Build automation process. It can be touched upon any line of businesses where the automation can be possible, any industry or any shared services also possible to integrate this automation. Okay. So now this one I'll just keep it as of now, because these things are more or less will be coming and going to cover it. Now it will not make more sense for you to understand it. So this also this is one simple use cases. I'm just showing it to you. Like somebody is, let's say how a process automation entirely look like. Let's say in our email somebody has given an invoice. Okay. So in my email somebody sent me an invoice. Now what I need the automation to do, that invoice would be having some records, right? The amount is coming there, who is giving, like my vendor details might be. We know all the details which has been merged inside this invoice. What I'm expecting, whenever I got an email with the invoice attached, that invoice has to download in my system. Number one. Number two, that invoice would be having some details, records. OCR, optical character recognition, will recognize the document, the invoice. It can understand what is the value is there inside that. Then it will extract the records. So it will automatically download to a system, any folder you can give it here. It can recognize, the OCR can recognize the invoice, extract the invoice records. Then that record opens some application, let's say. Open a UI5 app. Then what it will do? Fill all the fields with the extracted value. And then click on submit. That become my invoice posting. So this is basically on end-to-end automation. Somebody send a mail to me. That mail automatically, my bot, which is basically part of my IRPA bot, that IRPA bot automatically got triggered. It will take out your email. It will open your email, take out your invoice attachment, store into a directory, open that PDF or something. It will pass through our OCR. OCR will extract the values. Then what it will do? It will open the UI5 app. UI5 app would be having some let's say some mandatory fields. Those fields will automatically filled up with the data which has been extracted. Then you'll click on the submit button for you. So you will just see the process is completely done from end to end without your human intervention also. This is something we're going to talk about, the automation, the actual automation. We're going to see something like that in our hands-on session. Okay. Now, again, like it can also, one more point I can say, just remember this thing, like we can also trigger any sort of automation from SAP conversational AI, from a chatbot also. Like as I said, it's a multi-channel, right? So AppGyver is having his own channels, like a web channel, iOS and Android mobile channel. It can be triggered via SAP conversational AI as well. Okay, just remember that point. So that's all about like the process I wanted to display, wanted to share with you. At least it gives you a brief idea about how a process automation and SAP Build apps looks like what is the advantages, disadvantages of AppGyver, with respect to Fiori. Also, like how a process can be managed entirely. Some brief idea at least you have got. So we'll definitely in the next 9 classes that we have, we'll go and trip down every topics, whatever it is there available. Then we're going to explore much about that. Okay. Now, if you have any question, let me just check it whether if you guys having any question. Let me save this one, please. Okay. Now coming back to here, I see like there are some questions. Yeah, somebody was talking about OAuth 2.0. So there somebody has asked like what is the meaning of full stack? See, the full stack means is something like if when it is very common like way of explaining is it is both back end and front end called as full stack. Now, if any tool is providing end to end, like as an example, let's say you are going to SAP Web IDE, right? I don't know you heard about SAP Web IDE or not. SAP Web IDE is a platform where you can develop any front end technology application as UI5. But I can consume data there, like I'll be calling some REST API or OData services. That OData service is basically called to a backend server to give me some data. Okay. Now, if somebody is asking, having the same question in mind, just for them, just understand this, please. What is full stack means? Now, assume it. This is my app. This app, whenever I'm developing this app, it is basically calling to a backend server. Right? And it is asking some data. It is asking like give me PO data. The backend understood, okay, you are a secure person, giving you back the data. Now this is my front end. This is my backend. Now full stack is basically if any platform giving you a leverage to develop front end plus back end into a single interface. Then it is basically called as full stack. Now in that full stack, here you can do data modeling. Like data modeling in the sense, for data modeling generally we do in the backend system. So if the platform itself is providing data modeling option and developing application, then I can say this is basically a full stack development. Getting my point? Understandable or not? Yeah. Then you got some questions. Let me just see. That means it can replace the VIM and COFAX. See, it will not replace. It is not replace. The thing is like it is. I can't say it will replace completely. See, all the platform is having their own advantage and disadvantages. So you can say like to be having some additional feature on the process to add your make your automation more smooth actually. You know, so that is basically I can say like it is not I can't even say SAP Build will take over SAP Fiori also, because it can't, because it is having its own advantages and disadvantages, right? So we can't say it has been again that will be deprecated or it will be going to be taken care next. No, it will not. How it is related to SigniView? SigniView is basically a portfolio. It's a powerful integrated platform. It can basically realign your organization for any sort of a different integration possible. So process intelligence is also part of SigniView. You know, like it is having its own intuitive cloud-based process modeling. So that process modeling also collabed with this SAP process automation too. Like it is SigniView is basically like it is all about your process managers. It offers generally all your cloud-based professional process modeling process. So in this particular SigniView also you can create a different model. You can design a different process. You can like simulate the process. So it is also one kind of process management tool you can say. So this also doing the same way, and the integration between SigniView and this is there. That's what they're saying. Like it is also part of the process automation of this. COFEX will face some challenges definitely. VIM should not face problem in my opinion. Okay, so Anupama said that. Yeah. Is this code generated from the mobile app native code? Uh, So what I can say, it only generate the mobile app native code. It's a good question. So what it will do, like whenever you just take the code, have you ever seen the code of SAP Build.me? How it used to generate? It is having its own way of like generating the code. But if you're an UI5 developer, you can understand the code pretty well. But it won't generate the native code, like native iOS code or native Android code. It won't generate that. I have asked a question to SAP guys. Does your platform basically generates a native application or it's a hybrid application? It's running in a container. But they said demanding is a native, but I pretty have a doubt like it's a native application or not. Okay, so can you please explain what is this Cloud Foundry? So you're talking about the Cloud Foundry. Yeah. Okay. So see guys, just understand this concept also. This also really might be new for all of you. So whenever I talk about Cloud Foundry, okay, so understand this concept. There is something called as Neo, and there is something called as Cloud Foundry. Now, when I compare these two platforms, so initially when SAP has built their platform and introduced SAP Cloud Platform, at that time, whenever we are just go and create some account in the SAP Cloud, at that time this new platform used to come by default, right? So Neo would be basically one plan. I mean, this environment. It is called basically an environment. Now this environment was by default given to all of us as a trial version. Recently, SAP has introduced one more environment for Cloud Foundry. Try to understand why this shift is happening. Now, once you see in new platform, they have sell all their product as a service, right? If you consider Web IDE, if you consider any other services, it was available. So based on your service enablement, SAP started charging based on the usage of your service. Now what SAP thought, in this current market, I cannot restrict my users to develop only HTML5 based application. So whenever you develop any UI5 application, it is go and store in the SAP Cloud Platform as HTML5 app only, right? In the HTML repository or HTML5 apps, it go and used to store all the applications, right? Now SAP understood currently the journey or the race we are in the digital era of user experience and UI part. There are so many applications are getting developed in the multi-target based applications. What is multi-target based application? Multi-target is nothing but they're talking about one application you are developing. In that application, I can add multiple UI modules. Multiple UI modules in the sense, I have created one project. I can add one Fiori module. I can add one Node.js module. I can add one Python module also. I can mix up my application with a native client-based as well as server-based also. And I would be having a privilege to deploy my application in a different other multi-channels also. So this is the new era of development where you are not restricting your developer to build one sort of client-based application always. Server-based coding are also coming, where Node.js based application, Python based applications, where because there are so many areas of development, we have to get this Node.js development. Like if you're building some sort of like chatbot, if you're going to create a middleware, Node.js is required. Or at the same time, you're building some small Node.js based application. Where will you develop? So they are also giving a BTP. That's what they have introduced SAP Cloud Foundry version. Not only this, this is one of the purpose. Along with, they are talking about multi-target. At the same time, it calls as we're having different other data cloud. Like we're having AWS, we are having let's say Microsoft Azure. So SAP Cloud Platform, which is called as SAP BTP, is one of the cloud platform. We are also having Amazon Cloud Service, Microsoft Azure, we're having Google Cloud. There are so many other clouds are also available. So if you're going to channelize or you're going to communicate with different like other cloud also, that is also possible. But initially in the new version, it was not there. So SAP is thinking about the larger vision to create a flexibility on their cloud platform to talk to different channels, talk to different cloud also. That is where this Cloud Foundry is coming into picture, where they are talking about if you are going to run any application, that application can be also given a multi-target based application can be created. You can deploy the application, but the charging mechanism also got changed. Like if you're talking about how SAP charging previously, based on the service based it was charging. Now they have used service is one of the factor, along with Cloud Foundry runtime cost also will come. Like if you're running any Node.js server based application, how much memory you are consuming? Like 1 GB of Cloud Foundry cost near about $84 USD.
So similarly, like you can how much load you are giving to the server, based on that they are also going to charge it. That is how the Cloud Foundry also coming into like SAP's domain to add or expand their features. And that is where in the Cloud Foundry they have introduced something called as Business Application Studio, where you can build any type of applications. You can build a normal Fiori applications, you can build a multi-target application, you can build a Node.js application, you can build a Python also. So all are possible in this. Understandable? Make sense? Yeah. Now, any other questions? Like where, any doubts about SAP Build apps? So, in a very basic takeaway of this entire slide, whatever I have shown. First thing, first few classes, we'll talk about SAP Build apps, like how to develop an application from scratch, how a citizen developer can build an application. Number two, next few classes we're going to talk about the process automation. In this, it's a broad topic. It having forms, it is having IRPA, it is having the workflow and business rules. All these things I'm going to cover it. And then the last one or two classes about integration of everything and build a work zone site. So in these two process, we'll be having hands-on. Okay, so that should be the major plan of this course. Okay, now if you have any questions, you can ask. Yeah. In this, we're going to talk about your offline part. We're going to talk about a normal development. Some other features, whatever it is having its own like scanning option, taking a photograph option. Those things I'll definitely highlight and show you how to call out data surveys, like how to call the REST APIs, how to get stored the data, how to bind the data, how do you page navigations, okay, how to display the data, like how the normal activity generally we do. That is going to cover into this. And also along with how once you develop the application, how to generate let's say android.apk file. See, I won't be able to show you an iOS based IPA file because we don't have the we don't have the Apple certificate to show you, but I'll definitely tell you the process to do it. But APK I will show you in live how to build an APK and install in your phone. Okay, it's a good question. Somebody asked what is offline mode. See, understand this part also. Now, Prasad, tell me one thing. Let's say, generally, when you build an application, now think about one business process. Okay. Now, I'm asking my vendor. Okay, that vendor is been the task of a vendor is let's say uploading or updating personal details. So this is basically the task I'm going to do now. Now I'm asking personal details of whom? The vendor. So you have given basically an application to the vendor. You have said, hey vendor, open my app. Okay. And you will find out your name or your details. You click on edit. Then after modifying everything, submit it. Okay. So this is the process of your app called as vendor personal details updation. Now assuming it, the vendor belongs to a region where it is having very poor network connectivity. Okay, wherever it's trying to save it, it is keep on loading, because at that particular place network is very poor. So what you are expecting, or what as an user, what I will think, I would think like, if you would have saved this time, where I'll go to the good place, no, where the network connectivity is very good, it should automatically sync up. That will be really great, isn't it? So offline means something like that. It is checking whether the internet connectivity is stable or unstable, or it is not at all there. If the internet connectivity is not at all there, whatever their data you have saved it will store under a database. That database is nothing but, in AppGyver, it is your in-app build memory only. In that you will store the data, your information, and once it's come back to the network, it will automatically ask you to update that data to the backend system to sync it. So you are not asking the user again and again to fill it at the time of like whenever they are having network. So they can fill it, they can store it as a pending mode. Once you have the network connectivity back, it will automatically push it to the backend system. Prasad, is that understandable? I think Kiran, you asked, like, repeat again. Is current kind of, yes, BOPF draft mode. You're correct. So it is basically storing the data in your app memory when there is no connectivity. There is no, like, let's say, internet is not at all there. At that time, it will store the data in an offline database. Once you have the internet back, at that time, it will again sync the data to the backend system. Okay? Any other questions? Did companies started using Build already? Yes, they have. At least they have moved something production. I'm not sure like how many companies are already moved to production, but people have started. Actually, and they have, and it looks like it seems to look like the processes are good, because some of the companies I know, they're doing very rapidly on the IRPA. So for them, it is a very good news. Like they are able to manage the entire application end to end, which is a good one for them. And but yes, definitely people have started using it. But one comment I'm getting it from everywhere: the cost is one of the factor, because it is the cost is one of the factor which is everybody is commenting on the product. But definitely the product is being started using it, and people are appreciating the product also, and it is productively used. Yes. Okay. So now let's quickly go to our system. Just give me a minute. I'll stop the sharing. I'll open up the different system where to show you the process, like how to set up that. So there are some questions are coming. Do I need to have an IRPA knowledge for having this course? IRPA knowledge is not, if it is you are having, which is really good. If you don't have, we'll make you learn here itself. Don't worry. Okay, we'll make you like understand here itself, because I have I mean, we have planned the course that way only. You need not to worry about like what is there. I mean, you need not to worry about like to learning by your own. We'll definitely take you there. There is a question like, let's say I developed app using AppGyver while I have a license and stop license after development and move to production. Can I use that app? There is an option to migrate the application into now AppGyver is still there, guys. Just remember, like AppGyver, it is not like AppGyver is not there. AppGyver is still there, but AppGyver, it is available in a community edition, but you can push anytime community edition to this edition, like your enterprise edition.